Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about that snowstorm once again for the northeastern United States. We will actually have a snowfall forecast for this one at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. Now, I'd also highly recommend that you go check out our very exciting Patreon page. I'm going to be updating this storm a little bit later today, probably this evening, so you can check that out if you join today. For cheaper than the price of 3 chocolate bars, which I know is very good, you can get our very exciting Patreon page and get very useful information. And hey, look, if you ever want to cancel, you always can do so. So at least check it out. You won't regret it. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, when do you think the Northeast will see their next snowstorm? How long from now do you think it's going to take to get another setup like this? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look at the temperatures. This is going to be for the afternoon hours today, because tonight the snow is going to start falling. So it's important to note that we're in the mid to lower 40s, which is a little warm for snow, obviously, so we're going to need to see that cool down. We'll talk about why it's going to cool down, and why the ground temperature shouldn't be too much of a factor. So let's just take a look at that simulated radar, and there's our precipitation about to move in. You can see tons of it. So let's just take it to about... that was at about the same hour, about 2 p.m. Now let's just take it to approximately 6 p.m. tonight, and as you can see, the snow is falling for the White Mountains, the Green Mountains, and the Adirondacks, who should see some of the most accumulations because, as you can see, they're starting out with snow very early, so it's already going to be falling for a long time before a lot of the other areas start to get snowfall. What we're going to do is we're going to move on towards about 10 p.m. in just a moment, where we're going to see that snow get a lot heavier. Now, even though this snowstorm is not looking to be the major snowstorm that we thought could be possible just a few days ago, the models have really backed off a little bit. There is still a lot of snow that they are expecting, and this is still a big snowstorm in terms of October because they're very rare. October snowstorms do not happen very frequently, and this is on the bigger side of things as far as October snowstorms in New England go. And as we can see, by about 10 p.m., the Green Mountains, some of the Berkshires probably starting to mix over. A lot of the White Mountains, and then those hilly regions in western New Hampshire, beautiful region by the way. The Adirondacks and the Catskills are starting to get more and more snowfall, and it's probably sticking by this point for a lot of those areas that have already been snowing for a few hours now. It's coming down very heavy actually. So let's just take a look at that temperature for that same frame, see why we've seen this change and how much it's changed, and take a look at that upper to mid to lower 30s, pretty much widespread throughout a lot of northern New England. And the rain is actually helping with that because the rain is coming from the upper layers. The rain is coming from way up above, obviously, where it's much colder. Those rain droplets are probably much colder than what the ground temperatures were, probably in the mid 30s. So it's helping to cool down the ground before the snow starts to fall. And a lot of people think that rain could be a bad thing, but it can also be beneficial for snow sticking in the way I just mentioned. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to move on towards where a lot of more southern New England and also areas in Pennsylvania and New York are going to start to see more and more snowfall. And this is by about 4 a.m. here, and as you can see, the Green Mountains, the Berkshires, the White Mountains, a lot of coastal Maine there, and even more of the Catskills in New York are starting to see some snowfall here by this point. It's a lot lighter, and actually our first low pressure system has already moved off. And what we're going to do here is move on towards about 8 a.m. and you can see our second low pressure center is actually moving in. It's about where all those dark greens are down there on the bottom right. That's around where our low pressure center is located. As you can see though, by 8 a.m. here, the snowfall has moved further and further south. It's northeastern Pennsylvania getting quite a bit, the Catskills there. Also the Berkshires all the way down into northwestern Connecticut. This is an area that usually overperforms compared to the surrounding regions, that western Connecticut, western Massachusetts, and even southern Vermont region, those mountains right there. They do very well in situations like this. Also southern New Hampshire into central Massachusetts, another hilly region where there's a valley in between those two areas. You can see the greens kind of extend north. Either way, we see a ton of moderate snowfall going on for a lot of these hilly regions, and they seem to be kind of in the bullseye. We could start to see the snow accumulating. It's really a tough call. Really, a lot of this snow could not accumulate if just some temperatures are a little bit off. So this time of year, when we see a snowstorm like this, the bust potential, we call it bust in, all the weather nerds. If for instance, we were expecting 8 inches and then only 2 inches fall, that would be a bust of a forecast. The bust potential here is very high because the temperatures, all they need to do is shift a tiny bit and all of a sudden things are way off. So I'm just going to warn you, this forecast is very tricky and it's a tough call here. What we're going to do is we're going to move on actually just 1 hour where we're going to see our low pressure center move a little bit further south. We're going to move further into the afternoon and just watch the storm move out and see where could see some snowfall at the very, very tail end. All right, now here we are by about 9 a.m. And as you can see, some areas further south are seeing some more snowfall. Boston, you're just about to switch over. You can finally see our low pressure center there, our second one. Which actually was Tropical Storm and Hurricane Zeta. So that's an interesting fact. This one eventually becomes kind of like a nor'easter. That's why I say nor'easter on the thumbnail. It's actually like a Miller B nor'easter. Going to bring some pretty strong winds, especially for Virginia, the Delmarva, New Jersey. Some for coastal southern New England as well. I originally thought it would be a little bit stronger up all the way into Maine, but I've kind of backed off that a little bit. The low pressure center is a little bit further south than we originally anticipated. That's also why there's less snow than anticipated as well. Let's take it to about 2 p.m. And as you can see, Boston, a lot of your outskirts have definitely switched over to moderate snowfall. Downtown, maybe seeing some flakes mix in right around 2 p.m. tomorrow on Friday, October 30th. Connecticut, now we're seeing most of Connecticut switched over to snow. Northern Rhode Island, another just beautiful region. I just love New England. I always, everywhere is beautiful. I don't know why I specifically name a place and say it's beautiful, because there's not an area in New England that's not beautiful. So that's just how it is. Northwestern New Jersey, moderate snowfall. Northeastern Pennsylvania. So we're really approaching New York City. It's moving further and further south. I don't know if it'll get down that far anymore. We originally thought it could, but it's really kind of up in the air now. Let's take it to about 17Z, which is, let's see, it's about 2 hours after, I would say it's about 4 p.m. here. And it's kind of the similar regions. Now Boston has definitely switched over to full snow. Providence, you're finally switching over. And even coastal Connecticut trying as hard as it can to switch over to snow. I really think you could see some flakes. Definitely no accumulation down there along the coast. The water's just too warm. But you definitely could see flakes, which is exciting and rare either way. And then by time we reach about 9 p.m., there's still some snow showers around. But basically the storm is said and done. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at our modeled snowfall forecast from multiple models here. And then we're going to take a look at our official direct weather snowfall forecast, which is very, very exciting. All right, now here we are taking a look at, first off, our high-resolution Canadian model, which is the model we looked at for our simulated radar. And look, the Canadian models, especially the high-resolution ones, are my favorite snowfall models. They tend to do the best, and especially if you're using it, this is a pro tip right here. I use the European model combined, or I mix it with what the RGEM or the high-resolution Canadian model is showing, and that usually tends to be a very, very good formula there, especially if they're in good agreement. I feel very confident. So when you see the European model, especially the European ensemble model, I like that one to be on board too. That's a really good formula. If you're new to weather forecasting and you want to make your own forecasts, that's like a really good combination there. As we can see on this model, it's overdoing the snowfall amounts in the pinks. I want you to know that. I think it's overdoing that. This is only the snow that's going to fall out of the air, not the snow that's going to actually stick, so keep that in mind as well. Anywhere in the grays, that's where you're at about a dusting to an inch. But really, again, not all of that is going to stick. So I would say the gray areas is where you're going to see flakes, but probably no accumulations. The blues is where probably you start to see a slushy inch or two, maybe even 3. And then the purples and pinks is where you definitely see a good 3 to 6, maybe more inches of snow that definitely sticks. And at that point, it's not slushy anymore. And that's actually pretty exclusive for some high elevation areas there. So let's just move on now that we know what the scales mean and all the different colors. Here is our NAM model, and this one is definitely known for overdoing things. So I would take this with a grain of salt. But again, this isn't the snow that sticks. This is the snow that falls out of the sky. And the same thing goes. Grays, probably not even accumulating at that point. Unless you're in the very dark grays, you might get a dusting, but I doubt it unless you're in some very high elevation areas. Probably the grays that are on the northern end of the snowfall there have the better chance of accumulating rather than the ones near the coast, obviously. So you can see this one still thinks the Green Mountains and the Berkshires are going to be kind of the bullseye here. This one has a lot for the Catskills as well. Let's go ahead and just take a look at our GFS model, and same story. Berkshires, Green Mountains combined with the Catskills there. And then our European model, same thing. Berkshires and Green Mountains with the Catskills. And then our Canadian model, this isn't our high-resolution Canadian model, this is the low-resolution one. And this one has the Green Mountains and Catskills as well as the Berkshires. Well, this one doesn't go as far south, but that seems to be the trend here. All of them think the Catskills and the Berkshires and the Green Mountains are going to get the most here. So therefore, I'm really on board with that idea. So let's take a look at my snowfall forecast for this one. And as you can see, in the pink region, you might see flakes. That's kind of a lot of our southern grays there. I actually have it a lot further south than the models because I'm going to give you guys the benefit of the doubt of maybe seeing flakes. This isn't likely to see flakes. This is you could see flakes. So if you're in Long Island and you don't see flakes, don't hold me to this, but I'm just saying you could see flakes, so be on the lookout. But I guess it probably would be at like 3 or 4 a.m., so you can't even really get on me about that because you won't even see if there was flakes or not, unfortunately, if you like snow. In the whites, that's where you're at about a dusting to 3 inches of a slushy accumulation. And then we see for our lighter blues, that's for the Catskills, the Berkshires, the Green Mountains, the Adirondacks, and even some of those hilly regions there for western New Hampshire and through, again, those hilly regions in central Massachusetts, even extending into some of the outskirts of Boston as well, northern Connecticut and northern Rhode Island there as well. And then we have our dark blue regions, so for the Catskills, and then you guessed it, the Green Mountains and the Berkshires there, which all of the models pretty much think is the bullseye. I'm on board as well, like I said. Those are some high elevation areas, and they tend to do best in storms that head into these regions. It's very hard to find a storm from this time of year that looks anything like this, but my best bet is that we're going to see about probably 6 inches in the very high elevation areas of the Catskills, and then also the Green Mountains and the Berkshires. And you can see, again, we just took a look at like 6 models, and pretty much all of them also had this for these regions. That was the most consistent takeaway from all of the models put together. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. It was a lot of fun. I love the snowfall videos. Those are actually my favorite to make. So I love this time of year, and I'm excited to make many, many, many more of these, obviously, throughout the entire winter. And I hope you're excited as well. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, how many more tropical storms do you think we will see this year? And Cynthia C said, I think there may be 1 or 2 more. And I agree. I think that there could be 1 or 2 more. I wouldn't be surprised if we just have none from this point forward, though, as well. It's pretty late in the season. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our diamond patrons, Rosemary Haynes, Michael Codalessa, Madbirds, Alicia Davis, Catbite, Terry Curtis, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Kellen Manhart, Michael Buell, let's see, Mariah Vieira, and Mark J. Alongside our platinum patrons, Adam S., Donna Carnes, Dovie Nagel, James Wade, Alan Belemo, and Larry LePan, and Cameron Marshall. Anyway, thank you all for supporting the channel. If you would like to be on this patron end screen, you can go check out our Patreon down below and be a part of this. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.